committee meeting. I will start by asking, are there any bill introductions for the committee? Seeing none, we will move on to our hearing. And our hearing is on Senate Bill 215, which is transferring the authority for post-secondary driver's education programs and driver training schools from the State Board of Regents to the Department of Revenue. And so we will start with our revisor giving us a review of Senate Bill 215. Thank you for being here today, Tamara.
Thank you, and good afternoon, committee. You should have access to a revisor memorandum that goes into detail about this bill. For today, I will keep it simple and tell you that Senate Bill 215 would transfer the State Board of Education's authority for driver training schools and the State Board of Regents authority for post-secondary driver education programs to the Department of Revenue. Those education programs include motorcycle safety and truck driver training. Rule and regulation authority would also be transferred to the Department of Revenue. Additionally, the bill would establish the Commercial Driver Education Fund, which would be administered by the Department of Revenue. The bill would take effect upon publication in the statute book. And I would also just like to note that because this bill was introduced in the 2021 session, there are some dates that would need to be updated should you choose to work the bill. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Committee, are there any questions of our revisor? I am seeing none. Thank you so much. At this time, we'll call on Kent Selk. He is the Driver Services Manager for the Kansas Department of Revenue. Kent, welcome to the Senate Education Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my first time here, so I appreciate it. Usually I'm over in the Transportation Division.
There we go.
Thank you, members of the committee, too, as well. The Division of Vehicles does support this vehicle. We're obviously in favor of it. Senate Bill 215 would align all the driver's education under the Division of Vehicles. Right now we have 3 divisions that take care of it. The Division of Vehicles, State Board of Education, and Kansas Board of Regents. So you can imagine that's not as efficient as it certainly could be. So we'd like to simplify that process. Along with that, you know, the division keeps changing and we're trying to keep up with driver's licensing as fast as we can, and it keeps moving pretty good for us. We would, believe we've made some changes with the electronic services that we provide, along with, when I say this mobile, I want to make sure you understand these are actual physically mobile people that we have that go out to take care of driver's license issuance. And we think we can use them pretty well to assist these schools. I know there's times when I don't want to say graduate class, but have kids done like on a Saturday, maybe after hours, and this is all things that we can do to help. So we're pretty excited about it. We want to increase our partnership with the Department of Education with the driving schools. And with it, I think I'll stand for questions. There's some other language in here, and it's just there just as a reference for you guys. We'll let you know that there's about 48 motorcycle schools currently, and roughly 204 secondary driver education schools. I will note one thing: commercial driver's licensing, the commercial gets thrown out there quite a bit. Just to note that, you can have a driver's education school that's considered commercial because they're not a USD. It's not the same as a commercial CDL facility or commercial driver's license training institution that we have. So those are a little bit 2 different things, but I know sometimes that gets kind of mixed, which we do regulate those, our third-party CDL facilities already. So with that, I just stand for questions.
Okay, and committee, we will go ahead and ask questions because nothing makes us more interested than government being more efficient. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us. So what questions do we have, committee? Okay, we'll start with Senator Dietrich and then Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this may be a question for KBOR, but it's got to do with licensing the instructors, so who are teaching driver's education. So does that change now? I haven't read all the documents yet.
Yeah, that would change for us because we obviously don't do anything with the instructors or the facilities now. I think if you read in this bill, it gives a provision for a fund. Regardless of the fund, we're open to opening a new position. That person then would be over the driver's education program to take care of the instructors and individuals of that nature. The students and stuff we're already good with because we work with them now.
You do. Go ahead with the follow-up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a little quick follow-up here. So I'm thinking of just the logistics of it. You answered the question about the training of the instructors. What about the, oops, I just lost it. Okay, may I come back to you?
Sure
I just
can.
forgot
You sure
my
can.
train of thought. I'm so
You
sorry.
may go back to him. We'll go ahead with Senator Sykes, and if you remember, we'll follow up with that. Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question, but I just need to say thank you to Kent Selk because he has helped me with many constituent issues, and I am not in transportation, so I'm taking the opportunity when it arises.
You're welcome.
Came to testify and to get a thank you. There we go. Yes,
It
Senator
came back to me.
Dietrich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm so sorry. Curriculum. What about when there are changes in some of the curriculum for driver's education that normally goes through, ks.gov, then to the universities, and then back to ks.gov and gets implemented?
Yeah, that's a good point. Obviously, we're not involved in that piece right now. That's not our part. This would then allow us to, I would say, make sure everybody's consistent across the board. And I think it's a great opportunity to help and maybe make things a little bit more smooth. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm just saying it would put one point of information, then we're all consistent across the state, consistent with our driver's license offices and everything else.
I'm so pleased if you can make it a little bit more efficient, because there was a hang up on changes in curriculum with getting stamps from different agencies, and it was just so slow. So anything to make this more efficient would be great.
We agree.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Senator Straub.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This just kind of brought something else to mind. The defensive driving classes that different organizations provide, how do you determine who is qualified to teach those defensive driving classes? I know they often give you a discount on your insurance if you've taken a class like that.
I will be honest with you, I would have to get back to you. I'm not educated enough to speak on how it's selected for defensive driving. Currently, the Department of Revenue does not do that. So I don't want to give an answer that's not accurate, but we can look into it and let you know.
Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Senator Gossage.
Well, this is very interesting to me. I was in the dark ages when I took driver's ed, so trying to remember that. But so the Department of Revenue is fine with you guys. I mean, everybody's fine with moving you over, and the Board of Education is like, yes, please do this.
Yes.
Okay, so there's
No,
nobody
we
against that.
were approached all together and thought it made the most sense to
Okay.
put it underneath one roof.
All right, and because the Department of Revenue oversees licensing for driver's license, that just made sense. That's the purpose of taking the courses,
Yes, ma'am.
et cetera. Okay, just clarifying. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I'm not seeing any, but if you at some point in time can get back with us next week.
Yes, I will look into it. Give me a minute to reach out and I'll respond to the committee if you'd like.
That's more than fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Jimmy Bowie. He is the program coordinator for transportation programs at Johnson County Community College. Jimmy, welcome to the Senate Education Committee meeting.
Thank you for having me. So my name is Jimmy Bowie. I'm the program coordinator for the transportation programs at Johnson County Community College, where I currently oversee all three of the different programs that this bill discusses. We oversee motorcycle training, driver's education, and commercial driver's license training. I became familiar with these statutes over my 3 years in this position because I was often trying to figure out where community college fell in the state of Kansas as far as what regulations and how this bill addressed us. What I found out was that even in the current Senate bill and the previous statute, there's different sections for each one of these types of trainings, and each one addresses a community college or who applies differently. The motorcycle section will say explicitly public schools, non-public accredited schools, and community colleges. The section related to commercial driver's license training facilities, I think the language now says institution, which includes vocational schools, community colleges, and so on. The driver's education part doesn't explicitly say what a community college is. You can be a public school or a non-public school accredited by the Board of Education. However, the Board of Education doesn't accredit community colleges. And so this last year, the Department of Education determined community colleges are a commercial business, which we don't totally feel a community college should be considered a commercial business. Moving forward, we would like to see, we're in favor of this bill. What the gentleman before me said, it makes sense that the Department of Revenue is overseeing licensing programs. With the exception of CDL, driver's ed and motorcycle, these schools actually issue the permits for these students. They conduct all the testing. They even conduct the skills testing. So a student can come to any of these schools and succeed in the course and go directly to the Department of Revenue and turn in a piece of paper and get the endorsement on their license or get their driver's license. So it only makes sense to me that the Department of Revenue would be overseeing that. So overall, yes, we're in favor of this bill. We would just ask for that one little tweak in the driver's ed section that it is clarified where a community college falls. We would consider ourselves more of a public school program. Over the years, a lot of the public schools have closed, have stopped teaching driver's education. And a lot of those instructors work for us. So we follow the same requirements for our instructors. They're certified public school teachers. They've gone through the certification program. We operate very much like a public school driver's education program. Do you guys have any questions for me? I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous up here.
Committee, what questions do you have for Mr. Bowie? Senator Sykes.
Okay, I also owe you a gratitude because Johnson County Community College taught my 2 children how to drive, so thank you. And I think I'm very appreciative for your comments on the bill to making sure that community colleges are included in that for that licensing. But thank you very much, and I think that you do a great job. So.
Wonderful, thank you.
One of the best things is we have lots of parking lot space for them to do that initial little slowly get started.
And they have the wrap on the car, so it's very...
Can't miss us.
Yeah. Okay, Senator Gossage has a question.
Thank you, and thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here. On line 7, page 2 of the bill, it does say, and I'll begin at the beginning of that, subsection subsection 1, any school district conducting an improved course in motorcycle safety as part of an improved course in driver's training. Any student attending a non-public school accredited by the State Board of Education conducting an improved course in motorcycle, and it goes on to say, or any community college. So where, I guess I'm not seeing the change that you want.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, that last part you just said, or any community college conducting an approved course, we would love to see that same line included on page 1 within the lines of 12 and 13, where it addresses driver's education schools as well.
So that would be any school district conducting an improved course in driver training, and then where would that fall?
So those lines, we would include it as, let's see, it says, any student attending a non-public school accredited by the State Board of Education conducting an approved course in driver training, and include that same language from line 7 of page 2, or any community college conducting, to include us in that as well.
Thank you.
I think at this point, I want to make sure that our revisor is catching that language for us. Okay. Additional questions? Could you touch on the question that was asked with regard to curriculum and so forth that was asked prior with regard to that curriculum approval process?
If you wouldn't mind, could you please repeat that question?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The question was, how do we go about now managing any changes in curriculum? Because it used to take quite a few agencies, stamping the curriculum changes in the driver education program, and it went through university process as well.
I do believe the public school format of a driver's education and the commercial business format are treated differently, and that's outside of my realm to exactly say, but I know when we were operating under the guise of being a public school, we had to submit our curriculum to the Department of Education each year for review. It had to be an approved curriculum through an approved curriculum provider. There were also certain requirements for an instructor within a public school. I do think those requirements are different in the commercial side.
Senator Straub.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not really a question, more of a comment. I believe that CDL licenses fall under federal motor carrier regulations and aren't they changing some of the rules coming up here soon that they, like an actual class is required to go get your CDL?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The new federal regulations for commercial driver training programs go into effect February 7th. We've been preparing for those for years because it keeps getting delayed. Yes, they have to go through, now CDL drivers can't simply go to a testing site and take a driving test. They have to go through a course of theory and behind the wheel training to meet the federal regulation.
Yes, follow up?
Thank you. Sorry, it just creates one question after another. So we have a number of farms across Kansas, and is there a minimum age that can a 14-year-old operate a tractor trailer to haul grain on a farm?
I would have to defer on that one. I believe there are rules or legal or laws related to the age for interstate and intrastate. Whether you drive over those state lines, I believe there's an age difference, but I'm not certain on the question you asked.
I did see that Kent Selk indicated that he's got an answer, so why don't you just go ahead and come on up? Please introduce yourself again and your role with the state.
Again, I'm Kent Selk. I'm the Driver Services Manager for the Division of Vehicles. Farm permits, and that is a little bit of a different deal. At 16, they can get what is a non-commercial A or B. They can haul any commodity that their farm has as long as they're not being paid by another farmer to take their stuff. So it's what they call a seasonal CDL. It gets confused a little bit with the custom harvest CDL. They're kind of a little bit interchanging. Custom harvest is usually the individuals who are coming over from another country, and they're not going to be in our state, but they're going to get licensed here with the custom harvest outfit. They will go down to Texas, then go up north. This one is specifically for farm kids and farming community. They can drive an A or a B, which is a commercial, a combination vehicle or a heavy straight truck for harvesting operations.
Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah.
Senator Straub?
So I just want to clarify that. So 16 years old, they have an A or B, but they have to be like the farmers. They can't be being paid by the farmer. So you can't go work for the neighboring farm or a friend.
Correct. I mean, technically speaking, yes, you would. I mean, legally speaking, no, because that means you're in commerce if you're being paid to haul a commodity for somebody else. And then if you wanted me to comment on the entry-level driver, I could do that as well real quick while I'm here. Obviously, the federal government is kind of, it's been delayed, I don't know how many times, several times. And then with the last few weeks, our information kind of keeps coming. February 7th is a deadline. They're sticking with the deadline. But just know that it can change. I mean, it always is subject to change. We did hold a special kind of thing in Seneca, Kansas. There was a big push up there. Co-op kind of spoke about it. And our staff went up there, and I think we processed, it was 70-some commercial learner's permits and did about 100, roughly right around 100 CDL skills tests. We're here within the last month to help get some drivers out in front of the entry-level driver piece. Please do note, the state of Kansas does not have any authority on what you do in the curriculum for the entry-level driver. That's passed on by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. We simply just take the information from the students or the applicant that they have passed. It's a national registry database, much like for your medical card. We just look up, you were at XYZ school, and you've passed because you brought us your stuff, and it's in our commercial driver's license system we share with all the states. So if that helps you out a little bit on that one. If anything else, please let me know.
Thank you so much. Going back to Mr. Bowie, could you just share with us a few of the changes that have occurred as far as participation, enrollment, things like that, that you've seen in the 3 years that you've been at the college?
Yeah, so the 3 years I've been at the college, all three of these program areas have grown. Commercial driver training is continuing to grow at a rate. Now with this new federal regulations, everyone's trying to come in and get the training they need. Driver's ed has also grown tremendously due to the fact that some of these public schools are no longer offering driver's ed. So we've been filling that gap. So as a community college, we're trying to kind of fill that need, fill that gap for our community. Motorcycle training, more commercial businesses have opened, less public schools and less community colleges are offering it. And I think I shared with someone earlier that from KSDE's report, I think their last data was from 2019, our community college did about half of the public motorcycle training in the state. So we're continuing to grow and offer and do as much as we can.
Committee, any last questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for your testimony today.
Thank you very much.
I do want to indicate that we have written testimony from Blake Flanders, the President and CEO of the Kansas Board of Regents. We also have written proponent testimony from R. Scott Gordon, the General Counsel for the Kansas Department of Education. Now, I do want to let you know that Julian Miller, the Board of Regents General Counsel, is on WebEx with us. So does anyone have any questions for Julian? I am not seeing any. And committee, I want you to know that we do not have any opponent testimony. So I will at this time ask the reviser if you could please come up with that balloon amendment that is the request to clarify with regard to community colleges. And I believe we indicated that that would be on line 14 of page 1. Is that what you have? Okay. So committee, I will now close the hearing for Senate Bill 215. You have received the minutes from January 11th, 12th, and 13th. I believe you received those last week, at the end of last week. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Okay, I see a motion from Senator Petty. Do I have a second from Senator Sykes? There we go. Any discussion or corrections or revisions on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. A little bit of just planning for next week. So when we meet next Monday, I do want us to work on final action on Senate Bill 340. Also, we will be working on final action for this bill that we just heard. And then we will have a presentation on the foster care report card. And so my preference is that we go ahead and work those two bills first. I know usually we kind of do it the other way around, but that will give them an opportunity to get those bills ready so that we can get those lined up to perhaps have action on the floor sometime next week or immediately following. So please prepare for that. Also, I want to remind you that you did receive your packets for the hearings that we'll have on the Board of Regents nominees. Those are confidential packets, so please make sure that you keep them with you. You are not to make copies or to hand those around to others. We have Cindy Rexler, our committee assistant, has set up those meetings, and so those will be that next week in February 7th, 8th, and 9th. So we will limit that. So we'll have a hearing on each individual nominee per day. They will start off with 5 minutes of just up to 5 minutes of what it is that they want to share with us. And then we will simply go around to ask those questions. We will have to watch our time because we will just have those 50 minutes, 55 minutes. I think we could stretch it to 55 specifically to ask those questions and get those answers. And so make sure you review your packets, jot down the questions that you want to ask, and we'll just work our way around the table. And we won't take any final action on those until we've finished those hearings. So it will probably be the day after that we'll take final action on those nominations. That makes sense. If you come up with any questions about that process, which will be 2 weeks from now, just let me know and we'll work our way through it. But it will be important for you to be here. Yes, Senator Petty.
Thank you. And we'll be turning those packets in on that day after we've...
Absolutely. So when we meet on Monday and have the first hearing, and help me out, I believe the hearing on Monday is Carl Ice. On Tuesday, it will be Cynthia Lane. And on Wednesday, it will be Went Winters. And so each day, bring that packet with you and then we'll just turn it in and then turn that back to the appointments office. So seeing no further action, the committee is adjourned.